9:30 a.m. and we're working on a Toyota. We're going to be putting CALOFFROAD's arms in. We've got stands holding up the diff, and I've got stands holding up the chassis. So the wheels are still on the ground, but they're chocked. So what's going to happen when these radius arms come off? There's nothing holding that diff in position except the chocks. So what you'll need to take the radius arms off is a 22 and a 24mm socket and ring spanners. So first job is we'll loosen off all 6 bolts. So we've got 2 at the front of the diff, 2 just behind the diff, and then we've got the one up around the gearbox cross member, which is the 24mm. So these are all loose. And we're going to do one at a time. You can clearly see what I'm talking about when you do the CASTOR correct through the bush. See, these are in the center and these are offset to suit whatever lift you've done on the vehicle. Much narrower here, so there's more clearance to the arm, more ground clearance, so they're not down as far, they're not as wide. Bit of Penrite wheel bearing grease, give it a smear on the bolts. Looks like this truck's been in salt water. I'm just going to get this back one in. So I'm going to leave that third one out because I think the diff needs to rotate down a little bit, but it's not going to while I've got the other bolts in. So we'll do those ones at the end. Now I don't have scales here, but by feel, these feel lighter. The CALOFFROAD ones definitely feel lighter. That middle one not being in the right position is telling me that the CASTOR correct bush TJM fitted has sagged, and that's where I was getting that tie rod scrubbing. Now you can see here that arm wants to go up 5mm, which means that that diff needs to roll down. Now because I've got the other one out, nothing holding it, a couple of pumps of this jack and it should just naturally want to rotate. There you go. I should be able to get that bolt in now. Driver's side. Now all we got left to do is tighten up 5 more bolts and tidy up. Let's check the time. $10:47, so all that was done in that short time. I guess it's time to ramp it. Now I've brought it back into this same little hole, not to measure how much extra flex I'm getting because that's not what I've got these arms for. But we are getting an extra 25mm. The main thing I wanted to test here is the clearance I have between his radius arm and that tie rod. And as you can see here, there's plenty. I'm never going to have that issue again where I'm rubbing the tie rod up against the arm. They're a fussy truck. Now for that 3-inch lift, the panhard length will be out by about 3 or 4mm. And the drag link also the same. Now only being that little bit out, the 3 to 4mm, it's enough and it affects a lot of things. Now when you lift these 79s, one end of that steer damper is actually fixed to the chassis. So what you're doing is a damper that would have been from factory nearly level across. For every inch you lift it, you're taking the chassis that little bit higher. Now what that's doing, it's rotating the drag link. So we're going to try and rectify all these things. Now it steers good at the moment, but we want it to steer better. The vehicle's used to tow the Jayco. Yes, we do go off-road and we do tow bullet trucks, so we've got 3 ton in tow. So I want it to drive as nice, towing 3 ton, as it does driving the kids to school empty. Another dead giveaway without even picking up a tool on whether or not the vehicle's set up right after lift is the sector shaft on the steering box. So this line here, this line should be true north-south or front-back. So when you lift the car, it pulls the diff across. You've got a steering wheel that's not properly centered. If your panhard and your drag link aren't right, your sector shaft's probably out a few millimeters. We will, in some future videos, be putting in a new panhard and drag link for this vehicle, and also fitting up one of Cal's wicked steer damper setups. That brings us to the end of this little segment. There's plenty more coming on the 79 with the drag link and panhard upgrades. We've got news coming out of Bullet Truck in another episode. Plus we've still got parts of the Fraser Island trip to put up. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, thanks for watching.